Hey guys,
Hello.
can everybody hear everybody?
I can hear Dirk.
Okay. Frank, can you see the participant list on the right when you click at the bottom?
Hang on a second.
Go across the bottom. There should be a listing that says participants. Okay, so now click on that.
Yeah, so I can see panelists now and attendees are on the other tab. So I have to scroll back and forth to see panelists and attendees.
Right, but can you scroll over Joe's name?
Yep, hang on.
Do you see unmute and more?
Yep, I see unmute and video only.
Oh, you don't see more?
I do not.
Shoot.
How we doing, guys?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Okay.
Frank?
Okay, I'm gonna have to stay on till we start then, because I think if I go off, I can make Joe a host. Like right now, I'm gonna make Joe the host. So Joe, can you want to test out your the PowerPoint, please?
Muted, Joe.
Yeah, Joe's muted right now.
Bottom left should be able to unclick that. There, Joe.
Okay.
There it is.
You want to see? You want me to share the screen?
Yeah, I just want to test it.
Okay. Well, so to see it, you'll have to.
That's not working.
Here's the PowerPoint. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yep, we're good.
And then it's it's not on the full view yet, obviously, right?
Yep.
Okay. Just let me hit it just to make sure that's it in the full view.
Yeah, that's good.
Beautiful.
Okay, so Joe, can you actually? I can do this.
See.
Pirates, Perry.
Pardon me?
Pirates
Oh,
mug.
yeah.
Okay, so Joe, I'm gonna. I thought I could. Yeah, okay, I'm reclaiming the host right now, Joe.
Okay.
So Frank, you can't be the host then.
Uh-oh.
You can still do everything. I just need to let people in. So I'm gonna have to stick around to let people. So can you go on, Frank? Can you go on to the attendees? Can you
Hang
click on that?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Okay.
Can you, if you click on any of the attendees' names, like Bill Kilburn, can you let him in or no?
Let me see what happens. I'm gonna click on Bob Kelly because I know him. No, the only option I get is to chat with him.
Okay, that doesn't work. Okie dokie, smoky.
You don't have a co-host function, Dirk?
I thought I did, but
'Cause I think you can make us co-hosts.
I think I have to go back in and
Some-
reset it. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
That is the problem. Okay, I reclaimed host here. So
Perry, Joe Siddle says hello.
Oh, Joe. Yeah. When
Yeah.
Where'd you see him?
I texted him the other day. He reached out. He saw on Twitter that you and I were going to chat tonight, and he said, "Oh, Perry's a great guy. Miss him from Detroit. Love him."
Yeah. We were together in Detroit. I love Joe. Good guy. Great guy.
Certainly is. Yeah, he's incredible.
hey, people are starting to come in now, guys. So we were at 240, I think, Frank.
That's exceptional.
Yeah, and again, we got everything. Like I said, there's probably 20% easily from the U.S.
Wow. What's the usual count, Dirk?
We're about two. We're always over two, but we probably get 15 to 20% from the U.S. This time we had You got about 50%. Just means they like you a lot down there, Terry. They don't, I mean, Perry, they don't want to lose you. I'm not quite sure why, but.
Yeah. Somebody told me that today. I said, you've been around 45 years. You tend to trick a few people along the way. I got somebody's computer on my thing, bunch of stuff on the right. They'll all go away, I guess.
I think what you're seeing is Joe's computer, and
Okay.
his PowerPoint has been minimized a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm not on share though. Oh, I'm
No,
still.
you're not.
Yeah, you are.
I am.
Still sharing.
Yeah, you're still sharing.
So you'll let me know when to click to put it on or whatever. I'll just.
I mean, Dirk, I think anyone can share a screen. I don't think they need to be the host necessarily, right?
I think the host can
Correct.
control that.
Oh, maybe they can. Host disabled screen sharing. Okay.
So I'll go to full screen when you let me know. I don't know if you want to do that during the intro, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I'll cue you guys up. I'll kind of
I'll go
say,
to
hey,
presentation mode is what I mean to say.
yeah, yeah. Harry, where are you these days? What city are you in?
I'm in Bellevue, Washington, a little suburb of Seattle.
Okay. How's it there? How's things crazy, or is it kind of calmed down a little bit, or what?
No, the curve is flattened here.
There you go.
Yeah, things are starting to open up. Golf courses today,
Oh, yeah.
gyms, nail salons, and those stuff sometime this week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting to open up a little bit.
So it's funny, I just saw a graph that showed in the United States total how it's become like a tabletop. So think of a flattening, but a tabletop. If you take away New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, it's still on a steep incline.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean steep. It's nowhere near anywhere. Yeah, so it's interesting when you take the three worst out of it, what it looks like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Illinois is climbing, you know. You had your spike, Michigan, I think, Perry, but a couple of weeks ago. Florida is still high.
Yeah.
Florida, I just talked to a kid, just called me from Florida. They're starting to practice and stuff. I don't know.
Oh boy.
I saw a similar map, Dirk, and it had, I mean, when you looked at Montana and Idaho, there's just a little bitty dot there, you know, not too many cases in those places.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Are you going to dust off the golf clubs and get out there a little bit, or?
No, those titanium knees have put a stop to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't get more torque out of those things, you know?
No. Those days are gone. I go to Top Golf. I go to Top Golf every so often, but that's
There you
about
go. Oh, cool.
I love to play. It wasn't any good, but I love to play. That's one thing I do miss. But
that's the beauty of golf. You don't need to be any good.
no, I play that Army golf. You know, left, right.
Yeah, left, right. I know it. I know it.
But I
Absolutely. Now, Perry, you guys keeping in touch with the Seattle organization through this? I mean, are you guys every day or?
Yeah, we have conference calls every Tuesday and Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Gotcha. I might just in terms of when we start off, that's how I might kind of introduce you to say, you know, hey, what are you doing? How'd you get to where you were, sort of thing. So just feel free to go from there, and then we'll get into the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Are these coaches from just various levels of baseball, do you think?
We've got everything from travel teams to high school to collegiate to minor league coordinators. We got a whole bunch of, U.S. collegiate coaches on both the baseball and softball side, interestingly.
Okay, interesting.
Mm. Cool.
But there'll be coaches as young as coach 9 and 10U as well. They'll
Uh-huh.
present about 5%.
I'll tell you what, you start those guys at 9 and 10 doing the 6Fs.
Right.
I'll show you some. I have a Canadian, his father's Canadian. And I think I told you, Chris, his father played at Northeastern. He was a catcher. And the kid is just about to turn 10. If I show you his fundamentals, just really good. Really, really good. But he works at it, you know, a lot. And just does everything that Perry teaches and nothing else. Just that. Step by step. It works. I was on another webinar when I was taking a walk today, a guy doing some infield stuff. It's kind of what I was talking about, Chris.
Yeah.
Guys make up the craziest stuff. I felt, he was a young guy, young coach. I felt embarrassed. I felt bad for the guy. I had to turn it off. I couldn't take it. I was going to send it to you, Perry, but
We'll try to keep them on tonight. Try to keep everyone tuned in.
yeah.
Joe, did you were you able to send out some links to your folks in Connecticut?
I did.
Yeah.
So I don't know what. Now, most of them, I think, listened to Perry on that other webinar last Monday.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else do you guys have speaking?
Let's see. Dirk will have the whole list. The last 4, I think we had Brent Strom,
Yeah.
Tom Griffin, Dan Hefner,
Mhm.
and then now Perry here.
Yeah. Great.
So
we
pitching,
got-
catching, hitting, infielding.
And
Then
next
we've
week,
got
it's,
next week.
Jer-
Sorry, go on.
Cheating next week?
yeah, Jeremy Sheenger next week, and Talarico the week after, I think.
Yep.
Oh, Talarico coming on.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Do you hold big clinics up there, like off-season clinics in a field house or something? Where they actually, not just coaches' presentations, but with the kids, with the players? You do that kind of thing?
So we haven't done that yet. We hold a large coaches conference every January, large for us, and that where we get 800 coaches that come in over the course of a weekend, and anywhere from 4 to 8 speakers speaking that particular weekend. But we haven't done a large scale one with coaches and players. The Toronto Blue Jays do a good job of covering the province, running instructional clinics with their staff, and then they usually have anywhere from 60 to 200 kids that get involved in that particular clinic.
The problem with those things,
Look at.
I'm familiar with a lot of those different organizations, tend to be, you know, it's really nice for the kids. It's a nice experience. It tends to be not a lot of actual learning going on because you just have large numbers of kids.
Right,
So it's
right.
like, it's cool. They're the uniforms, they get some autographs and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a huge value of doing something with smaller numbers, with the coaches like Perry working with coaches, and then those coaches manning the stations, and let Perry rove around and do that in each discipline or each area, you know, and then that would help the coaches get better because the lead instructor would help coach the coaches. I would think it would go very well up there, you know.
Coaching coaches would be ideal.
I mean, your opportunities are, because of the weather, a little limited, you know, so.
That's why we have so many facilities now.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, Frank, we're gonna get going in a minute here. I'm gonna put.
Okay.
I'm gonna make Joe the driver, and we'll get started right away.
Yeah, Chris, if you could Yeah, Chris, if you could talk about, man, I really don't like to talk about myself. So,
Okay.
No, we're going to take care of
Yeah.
that, Perry.
Don't you
Okay,
worry.
okay. Yeah.
I'll talk about you.
Frank's
Okay.
going to introduce you.
No, I'll just ask you what you've been doing the last few weeks with the
Okay.
organization.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to
All right.
embarrass you, you know.
No, I don't want. Yeah, I don't like to do that.
I think we should embarrass them just for the heck of it. But
Oh, well, we want him to come on again, Dirk.
that's true
Yeah.
too. That's true too. Okay, Frank, over to you.
Sure, I'll take it on. Welcome, everybody. I'm Frank Fasher. I'm going to be pinch hitting for Dirk Drieberg today. Welcome to the 4th edition of Baseball Ontario's Around the Horn, where we get to talk a little bit about baseball. And tonight, we're going to talk some infields. Excited to say that we have Seattle Mariners infield coach Perry Hill with us, leading the discussion tonight with Perry. And back for his 2nd week in a row is Chris Papalia. Chris is a longtime Baseball Ontario coach. He played NCAA D3 baseball in St. Paul, Minnesota, was a 4-year starter as a shortstop. He's also a teacher, teaches in the math and science department at St. Andrews College, which is a private high school here in Toronto area. He coaches both baseball and hockey at the varsity level. He's coached both competitive teams and he's been an assistant coach with our Ontario youth team, which is a 17U team that competes in a national tournament. And then he's actively involved with our coach and player development committee with Baseball Ontario. And I couldn't be happier for Pappy to take over again this week to lead the discussion, especially given his love for infield play. And Pappy this week will be talking to a coach coaching professional baseball for 34 years. This is his 25th year in the MLB. And while I've been told to say this, while he's the 2nd oldest coach in the MLB, that does not take away from his passion and his energy as a teacher. He spent 13 years with the Texas Rangers organization, has also coached with Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Miami prior to heading over to the Mariners last season. He was named by MLB Network the 2017 Infield Coach of the Year. In 2016, when he's with the Marlins, they went through a streak where they went 26 consecutive games without an error. His teams are annually ranked at or near the top in terms of fielding percentage and fewest errors allowed. He's affectionately known as Bone, and I'll let him explain that if he wants it. It's not what you think. So we welcome you. Thank you for being here, Coach Hill. Pappy, why don't you take it away from here?
Frank, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Really excited to be here on the call. Welcome to Perry and his business partner, Joe Espinosa from Wilton, Connecticut, home of Espinosa Baseball. And the pair of them are also combined to work with the goldglovedefense.com. So it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you, Frank, for the introduction. And Perry, welcome. And, I just was curious. We're in a tough time with COVID-19 right now, and you've been a coach for a long time. I'm just kind of curious, to start off, what are you doing with the Seattle Mariners these days?
Well, just kind of a holding pattern right now. We don't really know exactly what's happening. We're all anxious to get back on the field, as I know the fans are anxious to watch baseball. So we are just hanging out basically and waiting for our instructions and when we can get going again.
Gotcha. Are you still staying sharp on the infield stuff, working through some video and talking to players to work through some details at all, or?
Well, I call the fellas at least once a week and make sure they're at least doing something, with the social distancing and that kind of thing that's really isolated to just themselves. I'm a big believer in wall ball and wall drills, and most of them are doing that. And some of them are being able, the ones that live in the southern climates are getting on the fields with, just 1 or 2 buddies, keeping their distance from other people. But I don't think anybody just sitting around. We're all anxious to get back on the field. You
got it. And I'm anxious to get going, Joe. So I know Joe is able to, I think, share his PowerPoint at this point. So, as we said, let's hear from the boss. And I know Perry and Joe prepared a document to guide us tonight. And so I'm looking forward to hearing about infield culture and the six Fs. So Perry, please take it away, and I'll keep you on schedule. And if I have a few questions, I know the audience questions will probably be pouring in, but I'll interrupt you and ask some questions from time to time. But please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Before I get started, I'd just like to just say that, these are simply my ideas, things that I've cultivated over the years, about 40 years worth of experimenting and learning and testing things out. And these are my opinions and my views. It doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. The beautiful thing about our game is there's different ways of doing things. So you might have some listeners out there that say, I don't know about that. And that's fine. That's fine. Because everybody has their own ideas. But this is what I've done over the years. I've had a little success with it. It's time tested. And this is the things that I do at the major league level. So with that being said, we can just kind of dive right into this. If we can go to kind of my mantra is what I talk about is my motto is 27 outs, no more. That's usually visible on t-shirts and things around if you go to spring training or in Seattle or any other place that I've been. And simply what this means is that when the game starts, we have 27 outs. And we don't want to give that team extra outs. We want to make plays that we're supposed to make. And we make those plays, we count backwards, 27, 26, 20, 5, 4, 3. We want to try to get down to that last out and have one more runs forward than the opposition. So we always talk about 27 outs. We don't want to give a team 28 or 29 outs, making a stupid play or a careless error and giving the team an extra out or an extra chance to do some damage. So we always talk about 27 outs. And with that goes hand in hand is what I call in the box. When we want to make the plays, make all the plays that are in the box. And what I mean by in the box is wherever a coach may have you stationed as a player, a shortstop, maybe you're playing slightly up the middle on a left-handed hitter. Visually, he looks to his left and maybe counts 6 or 7 steps, to his right 6 or 7 steps. Then he counts in 6 or 7 steps, counts in the other way 6 or 7, and he kind of visually encloses that in and makes a box. Those are plays that we need to make all the time, period. It's kind of like a chain reaction. If you go into a city and you have a 4-game series and you got your starting pitcher up there and there's a couple of plays in the box here, you lose concentration, things don't go right. And we've given them more than 27 outs. What happens is your pitcher gets a high pitch count, and maybe by the 3rd inning, because we didn't make a couple of easy plays for him, his pitch count's in the 60s or 70s, so he has to come out of the game. Now you're going to tax your bullpen, and you got this game left and 3 more in the series. And then some poor guy that comes in and picks up the slack pitches more than normally he would. And because you need a fresh arm for the next day and the rest of the series, that poor guy gets sent down to the minor leagues. So there's a lot of things that happen if we don't take care of the ball in the box. So we're talking about plays that I talked about 6 or 7 steps. Either way, in 6 or 7, we enclose that area. Out of the box, just be an athlete, do what you do. Not every ball is going to be hit where we think it's going to be hit. Do what you can do, get to the ball and be an athlete. Just be smart. There's a runner on second base. That's the go-ahead run in the 9th inning. Somebody hits the ball out of the box and you dive and knock it down. Don't pick it up and try to throw it to first base. The guy's safe at first. The guy on second keeps running around. He scores the winning run. So you got to be smart and you got to think about it. But when you make plays out of the box, sometimes you have to let the fundamentals go and you just become an athlete. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then we always talk about kind of like the New England Patriots mantra. It says, just do your job. Be where you're supposed to be. Do what you're supposed to do. Be accountable to your teammates and things will work out. And that's the E plus R equals O. The events and the response and the outcome. Now, there's a lot of things that you can control and a lot of things you cannot control. That E plus R plus O, those are things that are controllable. In other words, Chris, if there's a bunt play on, you should be in the right position all the time. There's a cutoff and relay, you should be in the right position all the time. There's a rundown, you should be in the right position all the time. You know, sometimes things quirky happen on the field, and sometimes things don't go as planned. But those things that are scripted, that you have plays for, like those 3 things I just mentioned, pop-ups where you call at least 3 times, I got it, I got it, I got it. Those are scripted. Do your job, always be in the right spot. I think we have a couple of examples here. If we'll flip the page here of just a play in the box. So if we look at the play on the left-hand side, this is a play that's made in the box. Our shortstop gets the ball, and we went way too fast there. If we can slow that one down.
We'll just play the one on the left there again. Yeah.
Yeah, goes a little slow. And here's a play that he's going over just 2 or 3 steps to his right. That ball's in the box. And we'll talk about the fundamentals of the play here in just a few minutes. But there's the play. That play has to be opinion, that play has to be made every time. That play is in the box. We expect that to be an out. Out of the box, if we'll go to the next one, these are plays that are, you just have to do what you do. And we're a little fast on that one too, but we'll go back and slow
Here it
this
comes
down.
again. Yeah.
Here we go. You're just diving.
Oh.
Just diving. He just dives on the ground, and he gets back up. You know, but the thing about this play, though, Joe, if we can slow this one down and run it again, if you'll watch this play, you'll see. Well, I'll tell you what. Later in the thing, we have it on a little slower, but you can see he'll have proper fundamentals. Once he gets up off the ground, you'll see that's J.P. Crawford. You'll see him get the ball to the middle of his body right there, and then his hand is under the ball where it should be, and then he makes his throw. So although it was out of the box and he was just being an athlete, he did have some fundamentals built in that play that he had been taught. And we'll talk about those in just a few minutes when we get to the 6 Fs. So that's an example of plays in the box and out of the box.
That's great, Perry. Thank you. So I just, a couple things come to mind is how much time are we taking care of and preparing those in the box plays, those plays that are going to happen 95% of the time, and how much pride does your team and do you take in making those plays every time?
Well, that'll be coming up in a couple of slides here in just a few seconds. But the thing is, those are the plays that happen most of the time. So those are the plays that we practice most of the time. Those, like you said, 95% of those plays, that's why we position guys where we position them, because we think that's where the ball's going to be hit based on the hitter's history and how we're attacking a hitter. So we expect those plays to be made, and we practice those plays over and over and over. And obviously, things aren't going to go right from time to time, and you're going to make an error, and you're going to throw a ball away, and you get a bad grip. Those things happen. But we got to keep those to a minimum. And by keeping those to a minimum is that we address it every day, and we practice those plays every day. And then also you've got a mad screaming infield coach walking around the infield screaming at you all day too. So to kind of keep your concentration into and your focus to where it should be. This is talking about fundamentals of discipline. This is basically how we teach what we teach. Number one, you just take care of the ball. And we've been talking about that already, is do your job, catch the balls, make the plays in the box. And baseball is just a game of playing catch if you think about it. The ball's hit to you, and you want to throw it to your buddy. You play catch, throw the ball correctly. There's a base hit to right field. You want to play catch, throw it back into the cutoff man. There's a runner on second. It's a base hit to left field. You come charging in. You want to play catch with the catcher. So, throwing the ball correctly and playing catch is a area of the game I think is ignored a lot. I think a lot of times that we just go out on the right field line and do a little stretching, and we play catch for 5 minutes and okay, let's go. But I think you need to address playing catch, the basic fundamental part of this game. What this game is about needs to be stressed a whole lot more than it is. The rest of these things here, the viewers are, they can read for themselves, but the way that we teach, and a lot of coaches teach this way, is by progression. I mean, we just don't walk out on the field at 3 o'clock and with a bucket of balls and start hitting ground balls. You pick any one of these skills that I want to take an infielder out. And by the way, Chris, what happens is that every day about 3 o'clock, I'll take one infielder out by himself every single day that we're at home. And I take them out by themselves for a couple of reasons. Is number one, I'm going to build relationships with that player. I'm going to get to know him as a person, not only just as a baseball player. You know, we have an off day in San Francisco. What are you going to do on that off day? You know, how's your wife? What's been going on at home? You guys have any plans for the off season? You're going to take a vacation? You're going to go somewhere? Just things like that. You know, you want to get to know the player and build relationships. And that's where trust comes in. That player knows that he can go to you and when something's not going right. And that trust is a big factor in a coach-player relationship. But a lot of times we'll do drills on the side of the field. I roll more balls than I hit. I want to make sure I see exactly what I need to see before I actually go out on the field. It does me no good to go out on the field and practice skill and stop and have to walk out there and talk for 10 minutes and then back up and go up back and start hitting balls again. I'll do it on the side. I'm a big believer in wall ball drills. Throw the ball up against the wall, let it come back to you, and we can field some ground balls and get loose. And I can see that you have doing the proper fundamentals before we even go out on the field. I believe we have a little picture of this one, Joe, somewhere.
Yep, here it is, Barry.
Kind of let this one run.
If you want it, play a little video for you.
And there's fundamentals before we go out on the field. First one, pick something out over there, a big angle, throw it against the wall. Preferably, I want the right left lead into the wide base. Funnel replace, work on your footwork, pick something in the distance, that's first base. Then we're going to tighten up angles as we go. Give me 10 or 15. Here we go.
And this is in the spring?
This is spring training before the players were even required to report. So, you know, we go out every day. I grab 2 guys at a time, and there's a wall there. We throw the ball up against the wall, and we just work on our fundamentals. So before we even go out on the field, if I see something I don't like, I can tweak it right there, and we don't waste time on the dirt. You know, we're doing things against the wall in a controlled climate, just a couple of us, and I can see everything they're doing, and we make adjustments here.
Great.
Fundamentals before we go out on the field. First one, pick something out over.
Didn't really show any balls coming off the wall, but that's exactly what we do.
Mhm.
Throw the ball off the wall and then actually work on the fundamentals.
Here we go.
And
Now-
left go accordingly, right? But there has to be a little rhythm and a little flow
You kind of
to get going.
just kind of time it when you're going to break down, and the purpose of the right left is to, you can still break down wide, but it kind of gets your momentum going where you want to go. So purpose of this though, I just want them to get used to the right left, moving through the ball and finding the target.
Okay, and I'll talk about this when we talk about the 6 F's, Chris, but
Yeah.
this is a sample of things that happen before we even put our uniforms on and before we even go out and stretch as a team and before we even start our work for the day. If we go back to the other page again, there's underneath that are daily drills, knees and wide base. And I'll address this and then we'll move on.
Okay.
But I do the knees and wide base drill every single day along with the wall ball drills. And the knees is you put the player on his knees. I back up about 25 feet with a fungo, and I hit pretty firm ground balls, one to their left and one to the right. So they forehand the ball on their glove side. They're going to funnel it to the middle of their body and discard it. The next one I'm going to hit to their left, and they're going to backhand it. They're going to funnel it to the middle of their body, and then they're going to discard it. The second drill is the wide base drill. I spread the players out, and this all makes sense here in a few minutes.
Mhm.
I spread them out 2 to 3 inches past their shoulders, and I hit ground balls right at them. And what we are doing is we are defining and reinforcing the perfect fielding position. The perfect fielding position is your feet are 2 to 3 inches wider than your shoulders. And that'll make sense here as we go into the 6 F's. If the viewers can just kind of make a mental note of that. Now, the reason we do the knees and wide base every day is simply this. A hitter, before he hits, he'll hit off the tee. He'll hit soft toss, front toss. He'll hit soft toss from the side. He may get a coach to maybe throw to him. He may hit off the machine. The bottom line is that the player just doesn't walk out with his bat and go out there and start taking batting practice on the field. You know, there's a progression. They warm up. Pitchers, they play catch on the sideline. They throw flat grounds, maybe a little bullpen. They do things before they actually do their normal game skill. I find a lot of times infielders, they just walk out there and start taking ground balls. And to me, you got to warm up just like any other position. So every day we do wall ball drills, and we do the knees and the wide base. And like I said a moment ago, the wide base drill will make sense here as we go on here in just a few minutes. But
Gotcha.
all those other drills, ball hits dirt, DP feeds to second, the backhand toss, the underhand toss, tags, all those things are broken down in a progression that I teach on the side of the field before we even walk out on the dirt. Each one of those skills has 2 or 3 things that lead up to the final result. I roll the balls or talk through it and make sure that each one of those progression steps is exactly how I want to see it before we actually go on the dirt and work on it.
Perfect. Perry, this is great. Now, as a high school coach, you know, I try to incorporate some of these things just, you know, from working with pro athletes. Talk to the viewers about the mentality. They're not going through the motions while they do these drills, right? You know, you talked about redefining and reinforcing. Like, just describe a little bit about the attention to detail your athletes have when they're doing these drills.
Well, number one, contrary to popular belief, these guys just don't show up at 4 o'clock, take batting practice, then play the game. I mean, they're there at noon, and most of them have routines. Well, all of them have routines. You know, they'll change their clothes and kind of relax for a second, but they'll all get in the weight room. They'll all watch video of the pitcher that night. They'll do a routine in the cage. You know, one infielder at least a day will come out with me, and that happens about 2:30 or 3 every day. The outfield coach sometimes takes one outfielder out with him every day. And so there's a lot of stuff going on before 4 o'clock even gets there. 4 o'clock is when the team stretches, and then we do a ground ball routine, and I'll talk about that in a minute also.
Yeah.
And then you go inside for an hour or so. The visiting team does their batting practice, and you come out and play the game. But for a 7 o'clock game, most of those guys are there by noon, 1 o'clock at the latest. And There's a lot of work being done. And their attitude is tremendous. Big league players do not know everything. Big league players want to be taught. They want to be instructed because they have a lot of pride. They don't want to be embarrassed. They want to play well. They want to be accountable to their teammates, and they want to do well. And this is hard to believe, but I've had to kick big league players off the fields hundreds of times because they were doing too much. And the fact is that these guys have a lot of pride, and they want to play well. And as all of us as coaches know, the more you practice, the more you work, the better you get.
That's a gem, Perry. I got goosebumps right now. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So let's work into that next slide you have there, structure with consistency.
Okay, now we talk about this is like the culture. You know, every team has a culture. I want my infielders to have a culture too. I want this thing to be prideful. When they come out on the field, I want them to be as a group, a tight-knit group, accountable to each other, being able to pick each other up if something doesn't go right. And so I stress all the time that I need these things to happen. First of all, it's not on this list, and the players will tell you, and I kind of have a little fun with this, is, I usually tell them the first day of spring training, the last thing I need is a 27-year-old friend. I don't need a 25-year-old friend. I don't need a 28-year-old friend. So I really don't care if you like me or not, but we got work to do. And we're one small group of a team, and we want our group to represent the team and be responsible for our team winning games. So we want to create a culture of our group of infielders. And it's just basic things of be on time, be on time. If you're 5 minutes early, you're never going to be late. And that's what I always tell them. 5 minutes early, you're never late. Strong work ethic, which they all do. Come to the ballpark with energy and passion. If you don't want to play a major league game, if you can't get excited about going to a major league park, playing in front of 40,000 people every night, something's wrong with you. Something is really seriously wrong with you. We do the ground ball routine every day. Now, as I told you a few moments ago, at 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3, I take one guy out and we work on specific skills. And we fine tune those skills. And that's when I build relationships. At 4 o'clock with team stretches, and we take our ground balls before we start batting practice. I don't like the players to have to dodge balls off the hitter when the ball's being hit. So we clear all the screens off the field. Everybody's at their position. I have a routine that goes through about a 20-minute routine, and we field ground balls. We throw to first. We turn double plays. We do backhands. We do slow rollers, infield in. And we have a little routine that we do every day. And that routine happens every single day. You come to the ballpark, you don't have to think about, what if we're going to get a day off today? I wonder if Bone's going to make us, yes, you're going to. It's every single day. A lot of times major league teams don't take batting practice on Sundays. They usually play a Saturday night game, and the manager, rightly so, cancels batting practice for that day because usually Sunday is a travel day. After that game, you usually get on a plane and travel somewhere. But we use our batting practice time to take ground balls. And the reason we do that is because I just don't like guys sitting in the clubhouse all day. It's tough getting to the clubhouse for a 1 o'clock game, getting there at 9 o'clock and just sitting for 4 hours and decide you can go out and play a major league game. It doesn't work that way. I want the players to get out, break a sweat, do what they need to do, get prepared. They're about to play a major league game in front of people who paid hard-earned money to watch them play, and I expect them to be prepared.
Yeah. Amen.
Early work when needed or for maintenance. Sometimes all 6 of my infielders are doing things perfectly. Well, I'll make up something because I want a guy out there every day. Something happens every single day. And then what I mentioned there at the first, we want to excel as a unit. Usually most big league teams has 4 infielders. You got a third baseman, shortstop, second baseman, first baseman, and you got 2 guys that can play all 4 of those. You got 6 infielders, sometimes 7. As a unit, we want to be the best. Our attitude is, and what I preach to these guys all the time is when we come to town or somebody else comes in to play the Mariners is that, launch angle, hitting the ball in the air is a big fad now. But I want players that we better hit the ball in the air because I know if we hit the ball on the ground against the Mariners, we're out. And that's the kind of attitude I want them to have. I want them to excel as a unit and strive to be the best unit in the league. That BCD over there with the cross through it is that we don't blame, we don't complain, and we don't get defensive. Don't blame anybody. Don't complain about anything, and don't get defensive. Take your criticism, take it constructively, take it like a man, and make the adjustments and make the plays. BCD, we have none of that as our infield culture.
Love it. We used to say no transferring blame. That's great. Perry, one question regarding your routine. Something we might get into a little bit later, but before BP, I get it. Are you hitting fungos here? Are you taking balls off machine, or something else? And then during batting practice, how important is it for your guys to get their live reads, and how much emphasis do you place on that?
Okay, after we stretch, we play catch. We play catch for 10 minutes every day. I put them on a clock so nobody cheats. It's not like, okay, you guys ready? Okay, let's go. I put them on the clock. We throw every day. I cannot remember the last time we had a sore arm as an infielder. The more you throw, the stronger your arm gets, period. And I mentioned that earlier. I don't think we play catch enough. So we throw for 10 minutes, and then we break into our positions. And I usually, and I have the luxury of being in the big leagues. We have plenty of coaches. So I'm out on the field with the players, but I have a coach on the left side of home plate, and a coach on the right side of home plate. And to just give you an example, the guy on the left-hand side will hit ground balls to third and short. The guy on the right side hits them to second and first. And then we have different routines. So 5-3, 6-3, well, 4-6, 3-6. So the
going double fire.
right, double fire, 2 balls going at the same time. Then we mix it up, and then we can go 5-4, 6-4 on this side of the field, and then this side of the field we're going 4-3 and then 3-1. I have a coach standing in as a pitcher covering, and the coaches are standing at second. Other coaches are standing at second, first, and taking these throws. So the players are getting reps. They don't have to go there and take throws and just stand there. So I have coaches hitting the fungos and other coaches. Sometimes I get the bat boys to stand at the bases and take the throws. You know, a lot of times then I'll just take away one fungo. I have one fungo, and then I'll just turn double plays, one fungo all the way around. Or I'll do slow rollers and all one fungo, I'll infield in one fungo all the way around. So that's what happens in that time, a little 20-minute area. And then we put the screens on, take batting practice. During batting practice, to your point, is I like the infielders to be out there at their particular positions and at least for 5 to 10 minutes react to the ball. You may stand out there for 10 minutes and they may never hit a ground ball to you. And I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about you is your ready position. You're seeing the ball off the bat in the hitting zone and you react. So if you're standing at second base and there's a fly ball to left field, I should see you cross over and move toward left field. All we're doing is seeing the ball from the pitcher's hand to the hitter, watching the hitting zone, and wherever the ball is hit, proper ready position, and break our quick first step, break to where that ball's hit. And then I can go back, take a pitch off, get ready to go, and try to do every other pitch, at least 5 to 10 minutes. And that's fine with me.
And that's the quality rep over the quantity rep. And you want them, and we'll get into it when we get to feet, right? The feet F, but about that pre-pitch routine, taking that quality time every time they can, rather than just trying to go through the motions.
Right. And a lot of times you're at a visiting ballpark, you want to look at the background and you want to see, what's going on. And can you see the ball off the bat? I know the cage is there, but you're still going to get the general effect of if there's any problems with vision.
Got it. All right, let's move along here to the next slide and work through.
Okay, we'll hold this video for just a second. I'll go all the way through this. Is that we just got to play smart. Just know who you are. Know what you can do, what you can't do. Just play within yourself. Know the game situations. You got to know what the simple thing is. All these coaches that are listening now that coach 6, 7, and 8-year-olds, is before the ball is hit, if it's hit to you, what are you going to do with it? And those are things that are still preached at the major league level. Know what you're going to do. Know the game situations. I'll give you an example just for an example. They get a runner on second base. We're up by 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and there's a base hit to right field. The right fielder has to go 3 steps to his left to field it. He's a right-handed thrower. And he throws the ball. That ball should never go to home plate. We're up by 3. If we throw that ball to home plate and we throw it wide or it goes up high or the guy's safe, now they've scored a run, and now they got another guy at second base. So the game situation tells you it's the 8th inning. They got to score 3 runs, and we got to get 6 outs. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to minimize the chances we give them. Throw the ball to second base, keep the double play in order, and don't give them a free run, and don't give them another guy in the scoring position where now they get a hit. It's a 1-run game, and we still have 6 outs to go. The other one, something like I mentioned earlier, you got a runner on second. There's a ball in the hole at short. The shortstop dives and he knocks it down. Don't get up and try to throw that ball to first base. Hold the ball, watch the guy at third. Don't let him score. You've done your job. You've knocked the ball down. But know the game situations. Last one, and this is a big one for me, and a lot of people don't understand this one. And it happened to us a couple of times last year, is that teams in the first inning, they're on a roll. They're scoring runs. It's like 3-0, and there's nobody out. And they got a runner on second, and there's a base hit to right field. And the right fielder comes up and throws the ball home as he should, but he throws it perfect cutoff right to the cutoff man. And we cut the ball and throw it to second to get the runner trying to take the extra base. And that's a good play. Sure, they're going to score the 4th run, but what we've done is we stopped the bleeding. That's a good play. Know the game situations. We got to get outs, fellas. You know, if this guy's safe at home and now you got another runner at second. So sometimes, you know, you maybe get a chance to throw him out. If that's the ninth inning and the winning run, of course you let the ball go through. But sometimes you got to stop the bleeding, stop the momentum, and get your team back on track. So knowing the game situations and making smart decisions. Now, that what I just described is always early in the game, never late in the game. You're talking first, second, third inning. Sometimes you just have to stop the bleeding. Mm-hmm. And also the scoreboard. And I just talked about that. The scoreboard can help with strategy. You know, if you're confused on what you might want to do with the ball, if it's hit to you or whatever, the scoreboard tells you. You know, if you're up by a bunch of runs, keep the double play in order. You know, if you're behind or it's a tie game and you're on the road, if you got to throw somebody out, scoreboard always tells you what to do. And be prepared. Know what your opponents like to do. Do they like to steal in 0-1 counts, 1-1 counts? When do they like to hit and run? You know, just what do they like to do? Be prepared. You know, we as coaches give them a little plan, but they got to digest that plan and take it with them on the field. This little clip here it's hard to see, but this is knowing who you are, playing, knowing the game situations. Here's a fly ball with the runner on first. Now, the runner on first is stealing with the pitch. You can see him now. He's running back to first, but the batter runner never leaves home plate. And if we can run that one back, Joe, what happens, we're in a shift here. We got a guy over here in the 4-hole, but D. Gordon's a second baseman, and he's over there by second, and he notices that the hitter doesn't run. So he's telling the other guy, don't catch the ball. Let it drop, let it drop, let it drop, let it drop. Now he's going to throw the ball to first base, and D's no, he's pointing to second. Throw the ball to second because the guy was stealing the base, he's going back to first. And the runner standing in the home plate still standing there. So what that is, that's just communication. You know, the guy's looking up the ball. He can't see what's going on. He's trying to catch it. But you got your teammates that are picking your back up, looking out for yourself, and telling you what's going on and giving you proper direction. That's playing as a unit. That's excelling as a unit.
Bingo. And it goes back to culture again, which starts in the pre-work with you, the brotherhood, the family, making sure that the infield sticks together.
That we're a group and we're trying to help our team win as many games as we can as a group. Yes, sir. Beautiful.
Now, Perry, I got a couple questions coming in about some catch play routines. I don't know if that's something maybe you want to talk about later on, if we want to get into the 6 Fs or whatever, but you know, just can you elaborate slightly on what sort of catch play routine you have for that 10 minutes? What do you demand? What do you specify?
Well, if you can circle that question when we come back, because it'll have something to do with footwork.
Bingo.
And then we'll come back to that one. That's a great question, and I don't want to I don't want to forget that.
Yeah.
But it'll happen as we talk about footwork too.
Perfect. Okay.
And then have fun. You know, it's a game. You know, you go to the ballpark. You have energy. You have passion. It's a game, for crying out loud. You know, have fun. You know, if you've practiced and you've prepared, you've controlled the controllables. You control the things you can control. You know you're prepared that night. You know where you're supposed to go with the runner on first and the ball hit the right center field. You control all those things. You know what's going on. Have some fun. It's a game. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. And that last little thing, that DMGB, that means doesn't matter, get better. You can go 4 for 4 one night and be riding the cloud and be the hero, and all the people want to talk to you after the game. You know what? But when that game's over, it doesn't matter anymore, because you got to get up and play tomorrow. You strike out 3 times with the bases loaded and the game is over, doesn't matter. Get better. You're going to play again tomorrow. You may have the same situations. Drive them in tomorrow. So it doesn't matter what you do when that last out is made. Enjoy the moment, be the hero, talk to the press, pat yourself on the back. But you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Get better. You play again tomorrow.
Love that one. All right, the foundation.
Okay, here we go into the meat of the whole thing, the 6 Fs. The way I like to start this is I'm not building robots when I teach everything the same way to everybody, and I'll get to that obviously as we move on. But here's a couple of cities. I think that's Seattle and New York. you know, and you get all these beautiful buildings, you know, in Chicago, Dallas, Miami,
Toronto.
Toronto, there you go, Toronto. You got all these beautiful skylines and all these different size buildings, and some have glass and some are with pyramids and some have towers. And I mean, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. They all have different kind of structures, but they all have one thing in common. Every one of these buildings has one thing in common. They all have the same foundation. They all have the rebar. They all have the concrete. They all have the same foundation. Every one of these buildings. And then after that foundation, they've built up to be who they are. And so that's how we teach what we teach. We have to build a foundation. Now, what I find, Chris, is as time goes on, younger players, that we let them get away with doing something that's not fundamentally sound, like we let them flip the ball, or we let them skip around or cross their feet or hop. And then when something goes wrong and they can't control their bodies anymore and the balls aren't going straight and their feet are all tangled up, how do we go back and fix that? Because they were doing it wrong from the beginning. So by building the proper foundation, if we're on the 19th floor and something happens, I can go down to the basement to the foundation and I have the tools to fix that. So it's not going to be a prolonged slump. You can go into a fielding slump just like you go into a hitting slump very easily. So this is our foundation. How do I teach the foundation, and what's it involved is the next one, Joe, is I call it CPE. And this is what I talk about to our players all the time. I teach the 6 F's because I've seen it work. It's time tested. You know, I've had a lot of success with over the years. And the reason I've had success with it is CPE. I think good coaches should have CPE. You should have a conviction in what you teach. I hate it when I see a player talk a coach out of something. That should never happen. You can agree to disagree, or you can say, you know what, that's a pretty good point. Let's work on that and see if that doesn't work, then we'll go back to this. I can see that happening. But when a player says, I'm not going to do this, this is what works for me, this is what I'm going to do, I'm not a big fan of that. Conviction. You have to have conviction in what you teach. And as I mentioned in a couple of other slides, passion is why you teach. The reason you're out there wanting this guy to get better is the passion you have for the game. Otherwise, you'd have him show up at time and then take him out there and whack him a few ground balls and hope you win the game the next day. But you got to have passion. And the last thing is energy. If you don't have energy, when you go out there and coach and teach, how do you expect your players to have energy? Players feed off the leader. You feed off the leader. Your attitude is what your leader demonstrates. If you got your head down because something's not going right and those players look down at the end of the bench and see you with your head down like you've given up, they're going to give up. When you go out to practice and you take a guy out at 3 o'clock, if you're not the most excited person in the world about being out there at 3 o'clock, even though it's 120 degrees, they're not going to be excited about getting out there. So you have to have the energy when you teach. So I call it CPE, conviction, passion, energy.
Love that.
And then we go, here we are. Here's the 6 F's.
There we are.
This
Made it.
This is 6 F's. All right, we made it. And I was pretty good at about 40 minutes.
You're doing well.
Okay,
Like I said, I got no bedtime tonight.
You know what? I don't have anything going on either at the moment.
Okay.
And we're waiting on the curve to flatten. So I got up tonight. That's what you want.
Perfect.
Okay, the 6 F's. Now, this came about because I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, Chris. And I needed something that I could teach that was simple. But on the other hand, from my experiences, I wanted something simple for the players. And I'll tell stories as I go along. But I think we get way too wordy as coaches once the game begins or once a practice begins, instead of just giving quick one-word notations where a player can remember, oh yeah, that, and then make the adjustment themselves. And so fielding starts with an F, I picked out the 6 things I think that are important in fielding and throwing a ball, catching it every time and throwing it straight. And I came up with the 6 key words, and that's when I came up with the 6 F's. And the first one, and the viewers can read for themselves, and we'll hold this video for just a minute when I talk about this. But the feet, what that really is some of these young guys probably won't know what I'm talking about, Chris, but remember in school, you used to have outlines. You had Roman numeral number 1, right? And then you would have A, B, and C underneath. Then you'd have Roman numeral number 2, A, B, and C. So this is what this is. This is Roman numeral number 1, feet, and we're going to have A, B, and C underneath this. Okay. Once you first explain this to your players, it is about a 15-minute explanation. But if you walk through and show them as you're talking to it, it's a lot easier. You know, there's a lot of guys that you can talk to and can get things. They can pick it up right away. But there's other guys that have to see it. If they see it, they know what you're talking about. So you got to be able to do both. You got to verbalize it, and you got to be able to demonstrate it. So obviously feet means technically, quote unquote, the ready position. You have to be on the balls of your feet when the ball is in the hitting zone, period. I don't care how you get there as long as you get there. And we'll let this one run. This is Chapman and Simeon of the A's. Now watch how they're in sync. You see that little step and then the little hop. Now it's not a hop. If you hop, you're going to be up in the air when the ball's in the hitting zone. So your feet are barely getting off the ground, but you're getting your heels off the ground so you can get on the balls of your feet. And you know they're reading this ball correctly because Chapman goes to his left, Simeon goes to the right. They both were looking at the hitting zone, and they reacted correctly to the ball. So you see Chapman crosses over with his right, Simeon with his left. So they're going for the ball in the same way. So that's the ready position. We had talked about this earlier, Chris, about the small step with the right foot and then separate. And basically that's what they're doing. If you read the graphic here on my on the video or on the chart, it talks about taking a small step with your right foot and then separating your feet. Now, right there about in the middle of the small step, I use the example half your shoe size. If you take a big step, a normal step, and then you separate your feet, you're going to be up in the air when the ball's in the hitting zone. So to keep you from taking a big step, you can run this one back, Joe. Just kind of watch Chapman. Just watch how small that step is right there. Yeah. It's a small step. That's just to get you right there, just to get you going. You don't want to take a big one, or like I said, when you do separate your feet, you're going to be in the air where the ball's in the hitting zone, and you're not going to have a very quick first step. Now, it's like a relay race, and once again, if coaches can use other sports to make an example, sometimes the player will grab it more quickly. And I always talk about relay races here. Would you be quicker if your buddy is running to you and then you're at a dead standstill, he hands you the baton and then you take off? Or when he gets to a certain point, he's running to you, you take off, and when he hands it to you, you're already on the run. Which one are you going to be quicker? That's obviously the second one. So that's why you need to be moving when the ball's in a hitting zone. So once the ball is hit, you're already moving, so you're going to be quicker to the ball. And when people talk about the guy's got a quick first step, well, he's got a quick first step because he's in a good ready position. His feet are moving.
That's great.
One thing I want to talk about here just real quick, because, Chris, I hear this a lot. Well, I have to move Johnny. Johnny's my shortstop, and he goes better to his left than he does his right. So I move him over a little bit because he's better to his left. Well, if you watch Johnny's ready position, there's a good chance he's in his stance, and then he'll take a step with his right foot and then a step with his left foot. There won't be any separation where both feet go out. Both feet don't move at the same time. The right goes and then the left goes. Well, all of his momentum, if his first step is his right, then a second step is his left, no wonder he's better to his left, because when he comes down on his left foot, that's where he's going.
He's ready to go.
And he won't be very good to his right. So it's not the fact that Johnny can't go to his right. The fact is Johnny's ready position is not very good. And his ready position doesn't let him go to his right. So that's when we make adjustments as coaches. One last thing on this one, and we talked about this earlier. The coaches who watch tennis, if you watch the tennis, the guy that's serving the ball, he'll be bouncing the ball, he'll get it up here to the middle of his body, the racket, and as he tosses it up, the guy on the other side, invariably, you watch every tennis match, they'll take a small step with their right foot, and then they'll separate both feet. They'll come down the balls of their feet when the ball hits the racket every single time.
Yeah.
So the baton, track and field, and the tennis example, sometimes it'll kick in the player's mind as, oh yeah, I've seen that. And that's maybe the way they learn by other sports instead of just a big, long, lengthy explanation.
Love that, Coach. And that the idea of being on time, how important is it that you're on time, and that jump split sort of move allows you to be on time better than sort of walking and creeping into it? Is that sort of what you found over the years? Exactly.
What you just said was that small and then separating. When you separate both feet, you can go either way. You can go left or right. The guys who walk into it, depends on what foot hits last. They're going to be stronger to that side than they are to the other side.
Perfect. Okay. That's all right. Next one, field. Big one here.
Okay. Now your feet take you to the ball. The ball's been hit. You're inside that box I talked about. The ball takes you to your feet take you to the ball. Now you're going to field the ball. Now, here's one I was talking about earlier about coaches, we get really wordy. You're going to have to get wordy and explain this the first time, but after you teach your players the 6 F's, all you're going to have to do now is say field, wide, base. That's all you're going to have to say. Now, all of us have had balls that have hit us off the heel of the hand or the wrist, and the coach will say, bad hop, get another one, Johnny. Well, if you look at your heel, if all the coaches will look at their heel of their hand right now and to the middle of their hand, which is the pocket of their glove, and measure that, that's no more than 2 or 3 inches. That wasn't a bad hop. It hit them in the wrist or hit them in the heel of the glove is because they never saw the ball the last 6 or 8 or 6 inches when it took that little bitty hop. So I had coaches when I was growing up that would tell me so many things that my mind would get locked up. They would tell me, get your back flat, get your butt down, get your hands out front. And so I'm trying to remember all these things. And now here comes a ground ball to me. And I said, okay, he told me to get my back flat. I got to get my butt down and I got to get my hands out front. Before you know it, the ball's there or it's past me. I'm
by
thinking,
you.
Yeah, it's by me. I'm thinking instead of playing. So basically you break down in a wide base. If your feet, when you break down to catch a ground ball and you want in a perfect world, you want to go to the ground ball and you want to lead, you want to go right, left to break down into that wide base. You go right, left, it gives you momentum to first base. You want to go right, left. When that left foot comes down, your feet want to be 2 to 3 inches past your shoulders. Now, when that happens, Chris, all those things I just talked about happen automatically. Your hands are out front, your back is flat, your butt's down, and your head's looking at the ball. And your glove is so far out front of your body that if that ball does something the last 6 or 8 inches, you see it and react to it. When you go to a big league game and you see a guy, Nolan Arenado, there's a ground ball and he reaches up and all of a sudden he catches it up here by his ear, that's not luck. That's by design. Because he knew if he broke down wide, he was going to see that ball all the way into his glove. So if that ball did anything at the last 4 or 5 inches, he would see it and react to it. If you want to be a good hitter, Chris, you have to see 2 things at the same time. You got to see the ball and you got to see the bat. If you don't see those 2 things at the same time, you're not going to hit, period. If you want to be a good infielder, there's 2 things you have to see at the same time. And what do you think they are? The ball and the glove.
Yeah.
And if you break down wider than your shoulders, your glove automatically gets out in front of your body. And not only can you see the ball way out in front of you, you can see your glove through peripheral vision. Now let's back up to the second. We don't have to move the slide, Joe, but remember I talked about the wide base drill every day. Yeah. This is the wide base drill. I put the players like this. I back off about 25 feet. I just hit ground balls right at them. I'm reinforcing what you're looking at on the screen now.
Right.
I want a wide base so I know that they can see the ball and the glove at the same time. The guys that have the narrow base, the ones that can't see the ball at the last second, they have a blind spot, which is right there on the last line. They create blind spots, and those guys sometimes don't have very good balance. The guys with the short, with the narrow bases, as they reach out for the ball, they'll lose their balance. They'll start tipping forward.
Right.
And you have a wide base, that does not happen.
Yeah, what I've seen here with some kids, this is great, is if they have that narrow base, they try to bend down and it's at their back and their glove goes between their legs. They can't see the ball anymore and their glove at the same time. So this wide base allows the fielder to get the glove out front. That's the idea. Yeah, that's the key, and the glove position looks after itself.
Exactly. When you break down wide, those three things I talked about, your hands out in front, your back is flat, and your butt's down, those happen automatically. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So as a coach, if you go by and you see your guy, his butt's up in the air, his back's a little bit too high, all you have to do is walk by him, pat him on the behind a little bit and say, hey, field, wide base, get wide, got to get wide, got to get wide. You don't have to say, get your hands out front, get your back flat, get your butt down. Come on, let's go. Watch the ball in the glove. It all happens automatically.
I got a question, a couple ones, and you might get into these and the other ones. Question one is, where in relation to your head do you want that glove? And question two is, it looks like your fielder here has the ball kind of entering his glove just as his left foot hits down. Is that by design? Is that timing? Are those things you sort of work through in a walkthrough? Yes,
as I mentioned to you earlier, I roll more balls than I hit, and that's because you can control that. Right. I can roll this ball, and he can control right, left, wide. He can control that. So if I roll him enough balls, eventually he's going to get it. And that's when I start using the fungo after that. It does me no good to go out there and start hitting fungos at 90 miles an hour. If he can't do it, we're wasting each other's time. Gotcha. So I roll balls, and sometimes I'll just put the ball down on the ground, and I'll say right, left into this ball.
Just walk through.
Walk through it. There's nothing wrong with that. Big league players do it. Some guys say, well, I'm 14 years old, I got to do this. Big league players do it. You can come to Seattle at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll show you this is what happens. So sometimes you have to crawl before you walk, and it doesn't matter. You do the progression teaching on day 162, just like you did the first day of spring training.
Great.
The other question I forgot. Oh, where do I want
glove position in relation. Quick on this one, and we'll get going after.
Okay. Am I talking too much?
Oh, I'll be here all night, but we can make the kids are up,
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I like the ball. I like the glove in the middle of the body. I'm a middle guy. I don't mind if it's slightly off to the left. It doesn't bother me a bit.
Okay. So perfect. Okay. Funnel.
Okay. Funnel. This will be the last long one. We can buzz through the other ones. Okay. Funnel. Now, once you catch the ball's in your glove. All right, Chris. Now, we talked about this the other day. Before we even get back to this, you and I are in the backyard. You're my dad. We're going up. You're a little older than I am anyway. So you're my dad. We're in the backyard, and I throw you a ball and it goes wide. You catch the ball outside your body.
Yeah.
Before you throw it back to me, where are you going to take the ball?
I got to bring it to my center.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're going to take your other hand, take the ball out, and throw it back. Now, at any point in time, do you catch the ball and take it all the way across your body and throw it back? So we got somebody talking here.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So anyway, you never catch the ball and take it over. You never catch it, take it above your head. You never catch it, take it to your knees. So anytime you throw anything, Chris, in any other sport, it happens from the middle of your body. Look at the box. You're going to throw a
Sorry, Perry. Sorry, I think that's Joe Florio, whoever Joe Florio is. Can you mute, please? Or Dirk or Frank, if you can mute him. There it is. All right.
We got him. I've heard it 1,000 times. So.
Yeah, thanks, Perry.
All right.
Okay. All right. Woo. Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
I heard a dog earlier.
Your voice is in your head.
Okay, yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, we're back to the funnel.
You got it.
Anytime you throw anything, it happens from the middle of your body. It doesn't matter what sport it is. The boxer, he holds his hands in the middle of his body. Basketball, you're going to throw your pass, cast pass in the middle of your body. Quarterback goes back to pass. He holds the ball in the middle of his body. That's earlier when I talked about my glove position. That's why I like it in the middle of the body, because eventually that's where I want it to go. So it doesn't matter to me that it's slightly left. Doesn't bother me a bit.
Gotcha.
But in a perfect world, this is why I like it in the middle. So I don't need to really read to the guys, but the wide base is in front of the body. By funneling the ball to the middle of his body, he creates soft hands because you give with it. And once he funnels the ball to the middle of the body, the infielder is going to separate with thumbs down. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Anytime you throw anything, as you get it to the middle of your body, before you throw it, you separate your hands and both thumbs go down. Both thumbs go down. You can see a quarterback here. That's Baker Mayfield, Drew Brees. That's our third baseman, Kyle Seager. This is anybody who throws the ball correctly. And you can look at those 4 things there in bold print at the bottom. If you want to throw the ball correctly, 4 things have to happen. Now, instead of talking about these 4 things all the time, and if they break down, all you have to remember as a coach is funnel, thumbs down. If you funnel, thumbs down, 4 things happen automatically to make you throw a ball straight. It creates a firm front side. You can see all these guys have a front side. It creates short arm action. Your arm stops short. And we talked about this the other day, Chris. You know, an outfielder has 180 feet to work with. They're going to throw guys out first to third or second to home. We as infielders really have 70 feet, 90 feet between first and home. But by the time the ball gets to us, that runner is 15, 20 feet out of the box. So we can't have a long arm. So by funneling and separating, our arm stops short for us. It doesn't get long. The other thing is, that creates the elbow. The elbow is up. The elbow is up on your throwing side for a reason. Now, one story, and I'll speed this up, the last one, I promise I will. This is important. I had a coach tell me one time when I was a young kid to get my arm up. Obviously, he read this somewhere or somebody told him, and he didn't know what it meant anyway either. So he told me to get my arm up. So I actually had my arm straight up in the air trying to throw a ball for about 20 minutes. Because get my arm up, that's how I interpreted. He never explained what get your arm up means. Get your arm up means that your throwing elbow has to be the same side, the same parallel, same line as your throwing shoulder. You can look at Kyle Seager, Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
It has to be. Because if your elbow is below your shoulder, it's going to put the ball is going to be, your hand's going to get under the ball or on the side of the ball. And when you get under the ball or on the side of the ball and you throw it, there's a really good chance that ball's going to lose altitude, or it's going to dip, or it's going to tail. And a lot of times we wonder, well, Johnny can't throw it straight. Well, Johnny's elbow's too low. Well, how do I get Johnny's elbow to be the right spot? Well, if you funnel and separate thumbs down, guess what? You create a short arm. His elbow is automatically even with his shoulder, automatically. And the last one is, this allows your hand to be on top of the ball. So when you funnel thumbs down, your shoulder, your elbow is even with your shoulder, and you can look at it, your hand's on top of the ball. Now, why should your hand be on top of the ball? It has to be on top of the ball before release, because now if it's on top of the ball like all these pictures are, once you release the ball, your hand is behind the ball. Behind the ball is where your power comes from. If I got the old-fashioned Volkswagen Beetle and I crawl underneath it and I try to push that car off my body, there's no way I can do it. No way. But if I get behind that car, that Beetle, I can push that car. I can move that car. It's the same car at the same weight. I'm the same person with the same body weight, the same strength. The only difference is I'm behind it. When you're behind something, you can get your power. That's where your power comes from. When I do clinics with kids, I have a kid who I think's the strongest kid in the group. I'll pick one out and I have him lay on the ground. I'll get him to put his hands up in the air and I'll lay down on him. I say, push me off. They can't push me off. But if I stand up and I said, okay, now get behind me, now push me. They all can push me. And that's the same thing. Your power comes from when you're behind something. So if you funnel thumbs down, you have a front side, your arm is short, your elbow is up, and your hands on top of the ball. Your hands on top of the ball to ensure that when you throw the ball, it's going to be behind the ball where your power is.
So when I see my infielders in high school kind of have that fade throw to first base where it files off, really what I want to work on is making sure that they're getting that right thumbs down funnel to put them in the right position when it comes to fire.
When you throw anything, your thumb has to go down. If it goes down, when you get to the release point, you're going to be behind the ball. That's going to be your optimum power, and it's going to help the ball go straight. Yes, sir.
Got it. Now, one more question about funnel here. How much, what type of ground ball are we always wanting to funneling versus, can we control a hop we want to funnel, but if it's a short hop, are we still funneling? Where does that come into? Because there's a bunch of different types of ground balls that get hit during the game.
Right. I'm always a funneler unless I get a bad jump on a ball and I know I'm going to get that in between hop. So sometimes I have to kind of push through that one to shorten that hop, to make it a short hop. But once I do that, my glove's way out in front of my body. I got to bring it back into the middle so my feet can catch up, and then I continue my 6Fs.
Got it. So even if you're pressing, you still have to bring it back to make it work anyway.
Exactly.
For that
so,
throw.
And I'm not getting on anybody the way they teach, because I explained that when I come out.
Yeah, you did.
Came on. Everybody's got their own style, but I don't teach the push through, because and a ground ball that's hit right to me, if I push through that, what do I have to do before I can throw that ball?
You got to bring it back.
I got to bring it back. I have to. And so one of my things is less movement, less chance of error. So that's going to be an extra movement that I have to make. I got to push it out there, but yet then I got to bring it back. Well, why don't I break down wide in a good wide base and have it out there to begin with? Then I can cut down on one movement, less chance of error.
Love that. All right, Coach, let's move forward. I think you've got footwork here and the 2Ds.
Okay, the 2Ds. Once that ground ball is in my glove and I start to funnel, the third, and the fourth Fs happen at the same time. As I'm funneling, my footwork starts. Now I teach the replace footwork. Once I start the funneling, if I'm right-handed, my right foot goes to my left foot, and my left foot at the same time goes to my target. And this creates the 2Ds. If I'm an infielder, I got to get to 2Ds as quick as I can, because I'd mentioned earlier that I got 70 feet to work with. So I got to get distance toward my target, and I got to get direction toward my target as quick as I can. And the reason I don't teach crossing my feet, if I catch a ground ball at short, the listeners can picture this. If this ball comes to me at shortstop and I catch it, and my left shoulder is usually facing right field. If I catch that ball and my first step is with my right foot goes in front of my left foot, I've got a little bit of distance toward first base, but my left shoulder is in the same spot it was when I caught the ball. So I got no direction. And you have to get the 2Ds at the same time, because you have 70 feet to work with. Some kids catch the ball and they put their right foot behind their left foot. Well, now they're not getting either one of them. So really it's a wasted step. There's too much. You're not doing anything. You're not going anywhere. Those are the guys that throw all arm. They can't use their legs because they're not going anywhere. So
right.
The reason I teach the replace footwork, and if you're left-handed, it would be left to right to target, is because it gives you the 2Ds at the same time. And the example I use on this one is the secondary lead. All the listeners and coaches can picture themselves at first base. You're taking a secondary lead. What if you took a secondary lead and one of your players put their left foot in front of their right foot and took their secondary lead like that? You probably have a cow. What are you doing? You're not going anywhere. You're up in the air. You can't come back down on the ground quick enough. The catcher's going to back pick you. Yeah. And if you go behind, it's the same thing. When you take a secondary lead, what happens? Your left foot goes where your right foot is. Your right foot goes to your target, which is second base or third base. And the reason you do that is you're creating distance and direction, and you have good balance. That's the reason you teach. That's the reason you do your secondary lead right or left to right, right to your target.
Hmm.
That's the reason you do it. So why wouldn't you do it when you throw the ball? Now, we were talking about earlier, your question was about playing catch.
Catch play. You're on tonight, I tell you.
Yeah. So you're playing catch. You got your first 7 or 8 throws. I don't care really what you do, your first 8 throws. Then what I want you to do, if you're a young kid, after you catch the ball from your partner, I want you to turn sideways where your left shoulder is automatically facing your buddy. Then I want you to replace your feet and throw it back. Get used to getting that crossing out of your feet. If you're an older player and you know what's going on, like 15, 16, high school, up where I am, after you make your first 7 or 10 initial throws, that somebody throws you the ball back, I catch it a little bit to my left, I'm going to throw it back to him by going right to left, left to target. So now I'm working on getting my arm loose, but I'm also reinforcing my footwork for the ground balls I'm about to take here in about 10 minutes.
I love it. So you're dictating.
Yes. And then, eventually I'm going to get out to about 120 feet. Then I'm going to do like the young kid. Then I'm going to turn sideways. Then I'm going to replace my feet and throw it out there. But there's about a 3 or 4 minute period in there where I can actually catch the ball, replace my feet, and throw it back to my partner to reinforce my footwork so that I'm getting distance and direction.
And are you also enforcing exchange, transfer, center of the body? Are you working on everything all at once in catch play?
What I do is these guys are at my age, our level, I have the benefit of letting them know what I need them to do. Sometimes you got to walk the young kids through this. Some of them, when they're close, I like to catch the ball close to their body. If you get a perfect throw, catch it close to your body like you would on a double play. You don't want to reach out for the ball on a double play because when you reach out, you got to pull it back in to throw it. Less movement, less chance of error. I catch that ball against my body. So some of them I catch against my body, and then some of them, though, if they're off wide, I got to catch it one hand. But then I see how quick I can get it back to the middle, how quick I can get it out, thumbs down, and how quick I can move my feet and throw it back to my buddy.
They're kind of competing amongst themselves to try to make that happen, do it quickly.
Correct. And then when you're out there playing 120 feet and you're facing your buddy, he throws the ball. That's when you turn, get around sideways. You catch this ball close to your body as your feet are moving, as you're replacing your feet, and you're simulating a relay.
Okay. I love it.
So there's all kinds of things that you can practice while you're playing catch.
Work some tags in there.
Well, the first thing I said is we don't play catch enough, and baseball is a game of playing catch. So I can practice double plays. I can practice the 6Fs. I can practice tags, as you just said. I can practice a relay. I can do a lot of things when I'm playing catch. We waste so much time when we play catch.
Great. All right, Coach, let's roll. We got fire here.
Okay, these next two go really quick.
Gotcha.
Now, I funnel and my footwork. Now I'm ready to throw the ball. Now, when I first came up with this, 40-something years ago, I said, okay, I got 5 Fs and a T. And that wasn't catchy to me. It doesn't sound right. I wanted everything to start with an F like fielding. So I thought about it. And, the old chatter when you're a kid, like, hey, fire it in there. So I came up with the fire for throw. So fire means now you're ready to let the ball go. Now you're going to throw it. What you've done is you prepared the ball by funneling, thumbs down. The ball is your 4 things are happening, front side, elbows up, short arm, hands on top of the ball. I'm replacing my feet. I'm not crossing them. So I know my distance and direction are at first base. Now I'm going to do just to let her go. Mm. And there's a drill I do all the time in spring training, Chris. And you can do this, probably starting about 13, 14, 15, but make sure the player is really, really good at what this is first. If you want to sell this, is that I make our guys throw with their eyes closed. So, for instance, we'll do all of our work, and then I said, okay, fundamental check is what I'll say. That's all I'll say, fundamental check. So once the ball is hit to them, once that ball enters their glove, I tell them to close their eyes. I'll try to make it funny out of it all the time. I put a ball up against my eye, and I kind of nod my head. How many times you throw a ball with your eye? You don't. You throw a ball with your feet. So if I hit them or roll them a ground ball, if they're wide, they catch it, they funnel it, thumbs down. They don't cross their feet. They replace their feet. They have their eyes closed. This ball's going straight, and it goes right to the first baseman. and then their eyes light up. They're as happy as an 8-year-old at Christmas morning, you know. But that tells me as a coach, and that reinforces to them is, hey, this is perfect. I'm perfect. This stuff is what I did here is perfect. If I can continue to do this, I'm going to be a good player. Things are going to be okay.
That's great. It really is the foundation, right? When all the foundation and fundamentals are looked after, the fire part takes care of itself.
Takes care of itself. It is, because you've already set all that up. All you got to do now is throw the ball.
Okay. And then last F here.
Last F is once you release the ball, once you feel the ball out of your hand, you take 1 or 2 more steps. You follow your throw. And what this does is it increases your carry and increases your accuracy. You see a lot of guys that'll throw the ball and stop and kind of snap back. That's called a recoil. You never want to recoil because your arm can't finish. And when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, you can get away with it because your arm's so limber and you don't have any arm strength. But if you have a habit of recoiler and you get to be 18, 19, 20, and you've got some arm strength and you start snapping that arm back and not letting it go through, that's when our problems happen. That's when you get a sore shoulder, sore elbow. Coach, I can't take ground balls today. Can I miss a day? My arm's sore. Well, you're throwing incorrectly. You have to follow your throw. Even when you're playing catch, warming up, we just talked about what we were going to do. You catch the ball, you throw it to a buddy, you take 1 more step. All you got to do is just back up. Just back up where you were. Back up 2 steps and catch the ball when he throws it back. That's how you learn to play catch properly, and that's how you keep your arm healthy, and that's how you can play baseball your whole life and play catch with your kids someday, because you've thrown it correctly and you keep your arm healthy.
Great. That's great. Okay, and I think you got a couple videos here you wanted to show.
Okay, now we're going to go slow motion, and Joe, we'll go slower than slow. On the left here's the 6 Fs. Now, before I start this one, you can't see the first F. You're not going to see the ready position, the small separate. Hold on, Joe. Stop it right there. Because the camera's just not there. But once this ball's hit, I want you to watch. I'm going to narrate the first one, then we'll show it again, and I'll just shut up and let you watch it. But you'll see him plot. You'll see his eyes down low. He's plotting. Hold on, Joe. Hold on. Oh. Hold on. Stop. You'll see him working his feet where he's going to be able to do that right, left, breakdown. You'll see him timing this ball when that comes to him. Now just go really slow, Joe, as we go through this. You'll see him. Okay, stop. You'll see him go really slow. And you'll see right now he's got a beat on this ball, and he's going to time this where his right and his left. Here goes his left. Now he's going to time this one now. Now here goes his right there.
Yeah.
See? And now he's going to break down right. There's his wide base. Now stop the ball.
Okay.
Stop the film right there, Joe. Okay, here's my last big thing, and then we can take questions. Here's my thing. Now that's probably this is different than we saw on the field on the still picture, but basically you put these side by side, it almost looks the same. So this tells me this guy practices. Look, his hands are out front. That left heel's and his toes slightly up in the air. His back is flat. His butt's down. His hands are way out front. And his head's out front. He's going to see this ball go in his glove. Now, when the ball goes in his glove, go 1 more step, Joe. 1 more, and 1 more, and 1 more. Stop right there. Stop right. Oh, perfect. Now, that's a wide base, fellas. That's what it should look like. Now, you'll notice you can see the palm of his hand now over the ball. This is a pet peeve of mine. Why do we let players go into the glove after a ground ball and already have the grip, already have their 2 fingers and thumb going in the grip? How do you know when you go in the ball in the glove that you're going to come out with a 4-seam grip? It's a crapshoot. It's 50-50. If you don't have that grip and you come up and the ball tails or sinks or runs, then you wonder why your player's not throwing the ball straight. Well, maybe he didn't have a grip, didn't have the proper grip. Maybe it's things split on him. Maybe he's got a split. There's a lot of things that can happen. What happens here, Chris, is when the ball is laying on the ground, all of us as coaches, how do we teach our players to pick that ball up? It's laying on the ground.
Bare hand.
Bare hand, you put your whole hand, you put the ball over your hand. So your whole hand, you put it over and you pick it up. That ensures that you pick it up. So a lot of times if you go in with the grip and try to pick that ball up, the ball will roll on. And I've seen that happen. You go down with your whole hand and it goes on the ball and you kind of press down to make sure you pick the ball up. And the reason you do that is you pick the ball up. Now you can find the grip because your whole hand is on there. You just turn the ball a little bit till you find the grip. So why in the world don't we teach our infielders to go in the ball? Once the ball's in their glove, why don't we teach them to smother the ball with their other hand? Then as they funnel, they're going to find that four-seam grip every time. Every single time. And that's what J.P. Crawford does here. Now you can run it slow motion again, Joe, step by step. Here's the funnel. And you'll notice the funnel and the footwork happen at the same time. There they go.
Yeah. And there's the right to left, left to target.
Right to left. There's no crossing. Right to left, left to target. Now he's got a little bit more time here, so he's going to replace again. And there's no problem. Stop right there, Joe. And there you go. Whoa. There's your front side.
Yep. Thumbs down
short arm.
on top.
Yep. There's your short arm. There's your elbow up, and your hands on top of the ball. Now you throw the ball.
Oops.
Sorry. While Joe's finding that, can you describe a little bit? You kind of said he had a little bit more time, so he did 2 foot replacements. Can you describe a little bit about what you're working with there? Yes.
We practice both of these, and a lot of times you always say, you got time, you got time, you got time. You just know who the hitter is, and a lot of times I'll be walking behind the guy during early work or whatever, and I'll just call out a name, I'll say Mike Piazza, or I'll say D. Gordon. So if Mike Piazza hits this ball to you, if it's hit right to you, you don't have to go left or right cover a whole lot of ground. You've got time. Replace. Now you're cutting your distance down to first base before you make your throw. If D. Gordon hits that ball to you, Juan Pierre, Mike Trout, somebody that can run, then you got to be able to funnel, replace, and throw the ball after one replace. So we practice both of them based on who the runner is.
Gotcha. You said to me on Monday there, you said ball speed plus direction plus running speed.
Right, exactly. A lot of times you'll have coaches that want to put a clock on everything, and I have no problem with that because a lot of times it leads to competition and it's fun. But usually the infielder doesn't make the out. The ball makes the out. There's 3 things that determine outs most of the time, and that is the speed of the ball, how hard the ball is hit. Mike Piazza hits a ball that bounces 19 times before it gets out there to you. He's got a shot to beat that out. The speed of the ball, the direction of the ball. D. Gordon hits a ground ball, you got to go 5 steps to your left. Probably not going to throw him out. But if he hits a one hopper right to you, you got a good chance of throwing him out. So it's the speed of the ball, the direction of the ball, and the speed of the runner. So I just want our players to do their job, handle the ball, do the 6 Fs, and play catch. The outs will take care of themselves.
That's great. Perry, we're at a point here where we've got maybe about 5 minutes or so left. So
okay, we'll take questions in.
Okay.
They've seen that video. What do you got?
Yeah. I know there's a few folks have been asking about some double play work and what you do in terms of double play footwork and pivots with your guys.
Well, that'll take the full 5 minutes, but to be in as quick as I can, I like my second baseman to set up with his left foot, his toes on the back side of second base, like in the middle of the bag, but on the back side, not on top of the base, on the back side of the base. And I want his right foot facing left field, so his shoulders are parallel with the third baseline. I don't like my second baseman facing the guy with the ball. If he faces the guy with the ball, the third baseman or the shortstop, where is first base?
Yeah, it's like behind him almost.
It's behind him.
Yeah.
It's behind him. So when he takes his foot and he takes it to throw, he's got to be perfect. If it goes too far to his left, he's got to drop his arm to throw it. If it doesn't go far enough, he's got to yank across his body.
Mm-hmm.
But if he sets up with his left foot in the middle of the base at the back and his right foot is facing the left fielder, not the center fielder or the right fielder. So basically his shoulders are parallel to the third baseline. He can move his head and he can see the whole field. All he has to do is move his head. Now when he catches his ball, where is his left shoulder automatically facing?
It's ready to rock.
First base.
Yep.
Catch the ball deep, and take your back foot off the bag and play catch. Play catch with the first baseman.
Bingo.
Throw the ball to the back of the base. You're going to get some coaches will say, well, my guy's arm isn't strong enough to throw it from the back of the base. Okay, that's fine. Then what he can do, he can catch the ball and he can replace his feet and go toward first base.
As a progression to work up, once he gets older and stronger.
Exactly. Then he can stay there. The reason I don't like to teach replacing your feet going toward first base, if you're an older kid, is stop and think about this. Picture this in your mind, coaches and Chris. If the ball's coming to me and I replace my feet, I'm going down, I want to throw this ball to first base. I'm actually running away from the ball. I haven't caught the ball yet. I'm replacing my feet to go to first base. It takes the ball longer to get to me. I'm running away from the ball. And the other thing is, although the new rule says you can't break up a double play, the rule also says that if the guy can slide into second base and reach second base, he can do that. Well, if you replace your feet and go down the line, your left knee is very vulnerable to getting whacked. And it's going to get whacked in a way that it's going to bend the wrong way and you're going to get hurt.
Great. Perry, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed our discussion today. I'm just getting one last question in here. Sure. About how do you find training infielders that grow up in different parts of the world? I know there's sometimes there's some assumptions that go on with the Dominican player, Latino players who have this sort of flow that they've kind of come with growing up versus an American player, or Canadian player who might be a little bit more scripted in their movement and dealing with the athleticism. Last question, and then we'll send you off after this.
Okay. Can I have like 5 minutes to answer this?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll tell you a story and then I'll give you my theory on that.
Okay.
I was in Montreal for 2 years and I went to Florida Marlins and my shortstop was Alex Gonzalez. And Alex Gonzalez was making 30 errors a year and he should be winning Gold Gloves because he's very, very talented. And so I've never seen him play before. So I've seen him play in games, but not every day. So I just kind of watched him for a while. And he was a crosser and a skipper. He would cross and then skip. And then you would look at his numbers, and not very good numbers as far as error totals are. And so about the 4th day of spring training one day, I asked him, explained to him what do you like to do? And he says, well, this is what I do. And so he walked right into the trap. The trap, well, what you do is not working. So what I want you to do is I want you to promise me to give me 10 days. And after these 10 days, if you don't like what you're doing, then you go back to what you were doing. And then there you go. It'll straighten itself out.
That's great.
And he's a Gold Glove winner, and he's our shortstop on our World Series team. And the players that come over from the Dominican or whatever, they're very coachable. They do what they do. And when you look for infielders, what you look for is you look for their hands and their feet to work together. I don't care about their throwing, because if you replace your feet and you funnel, you can create enough arm strength to play. But do your hands and your feet work in unison? That's what you look for. And a lot of guys will flip the ball, and you'll just show them, hey, this ball tails, this ball's going over here. And a thing what I like to do too, Chris, is I'll stand at first base and I'll reach out and stretch as far as I can toward home plate, and I'll catch this ball, and then I'll drop it and I'll mark it. And then I'll stand right where I am again, and I'll go out toward the shortstop and reach out and catch the ball and drop that ball. And then I'll walk off the distance. It's usually 2 or 3 steps. And then I'll ask the player, which is the better throw? And obviously he'll say this one that goes right at him, because the difference is 2 or 3 steps. So those bang, bang plays are because you got under the ball and flipped it over there, and the first baseman couldn't go out and help you. If you can go out and help you, those bang, bang plays, now he's out by 3 steps. If he's going to be out by 2, now he's going to be out by 5. If he's going to be out by 4, now he's going to be out by 7. And then you get them thinking, well, how can I throw that ball straight every time? Bang, you got them.
Yeah.
Then you teach the 6Fs, and then you let them, once they build that foundation, then you let them go back to their style. But you have to build that foundation first, because if you don't, and you got a guy that flips the ball, skips and hops, and things start going wrong, there's nowhere to go. The only where you go is backwards. You go to AAA, AA, and that's not what you want to happen.
No. Well, Perry, we've been in the big leagues tonight with you, so it's a great pleasure and a great honor to be chatting with you about the 6Fs, the foundation of fielding, and some of the stories you shared. The foundation of fielding really develops with your relationship with your players, and it's clear that being a great coach is super important to you, and that you care about your players a lot. So we're really appreciative here at Baseball Ontario.
One thing, if I could.
Yes, Joe, please.
First of all, I really want to congratulate all the coaches out there for spending the time on their own development as coaches. Very important. A lot of coaches, and I think they've got everything. And the coaches that go out there and keep developing themselves have more to give to the players. Perry's the best infield coach probably in the history of the game. This is very special. I've worked with Perry quite a bit. And every time I work with him, I learn. I have a whole sheet of notes right here, and I've heard him talk many, many times. We do have a website called Gold Glove Defense. If you like what you heard tonight, on the Gold Glove Defense, we have his entire manual. The entire manual. You're asking about double plays. We have illustrations, diagrams that he developed over a 30-year period. We have teaching videos of Perry demonstrating all of the techniques, all of the infield techniques. And then we also have examples of, like you saw right here on the screen, examples of major league players executing the fundamentals properly. I would encourage the coaches to see that. And if some of you guys have kids out there, those kids respond to those videos and they'll make them a lot better. So thanks to everybody for this. This was terrific. We'll see you in Ontario.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Perry. And Dirk, over to you.
All right.
Hey, thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach Hill. Conviction, passion, energy. I think that the equation is conviction plus passion plus energy equals Perry Hill. Again, thank you to Chris Papalia for another great job hosting tonight. Next week, May 13th, Jeremy Scheetinger. If you have never heard him speak, you're in for a treat. The man is a world of gems when it comes to coaching philosophy, how to treat your players, how to get your players prepared, and how to coach a team. Coach Hill, Coach Espinoza, thank you very much for spending the evening with us. On behalf of Chris Papalia, Coach Hill, Baseball Ontario, this is Dirk Drieberg saying stay safe and good night.
Thanks, Dirk. Thank you.
Dirk.
Thanks.
Guys.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.